Last night, the president called for the return of the Keystone XL pipeline.
It seems the president of the United States is already folding barely a month after trying to slap a 25% tariff on Canada. Now Donald Trump desperately needs Canadian oil and the Keystone XL pipeline.
U.S. President Donald Trump said, "Hey, let's get that company that was building Keystone," by which I assume he means TC Energy Corp, to come back to America and get the job done.
This is a huge flip-flop from his threats to make Canada the 51st state of the United States. A lot is at stake here, and President Trump may need Canada to save the U.S. economy with desperately needed crude oil, else we could be seeing a breakdown of the economy and even foreign relations sooner than anticipated. Is this a chaos strategy or a contradiction? Please subscribe to the channel and let's dive into this geopolitical drama. President Donald Trump has once again stirred controversy with his unpredictable stance on America's energy policies, leaving experts, supporters, and critics scratching their heads. In a series of dramatic statements, Trump has swung wildly between boasting about the United States as an unstoppable energy superpower and pleading for the revival of the Keystone XL pipeline, a project tied to Canadian oil imports. This roller coaster of rhetoric is raising serious questions about the nation's energy independence and its reliance on its northern neighbor, Canada. On January 15, 2025, Trump took to his Truth Social platform with a bold claim saying America doesn't need Canada's oil. He dismissed Canada's role as if it were a minor inconvenience. At the time, many Americans welcomed the announcement. To them, it was proof of America's strength under his leadership. But fast forward to February 24th, and everything changed. Trump lashed out at President Biden for canceling the Keystone XL pipeline, which is a massive project meant to funnel Canadian crude oil into the U.S. He vowed to bring it back, faster than ever. His message was clear. Canceling Keystone XL killed America's energy future. This statement painted a dire picture of a nation in desperate need of that very Canadian oil he'd shrugged off earlier. So, what's the truth behind this energy circus? The numbers don't lie, and they tell a sobering story. According to the U.S. Energy Information Administration, Canada sent a staggering 4.42 million barrels of crude oil per day to the United States in 2024. That's not pocket change. It's 60% of all the oil America imports from anywhere in the world. Refineries across the country, from Texas to Illinois, depend on this steady flow to keep pumping out gasoline, diesel, and other fuels that power daily life. Without it, experts warn, gas prices could spike, industries could stall, and everyday Americans could feel the pinch at the pump. Trump's supporters call his shifting stance a bold strategy, a way to flex America's muscle while keeping options open. Critics see it differently. Energy analyst Sarah Coleman says, one day he's dismissing Canada's oil, the next he's begging for their pipeline. It's confusing and dangerous. Coleman points out that the Keystone XL, if revived, would lock the U.S. into decades of dependence on Canadian oil, undercutting Trump's own energy dominance claims. The stakes couldn't be higher. Despite record U.S. oil production under Trump and Biden, imports still fill a crucial gap. Canada's oil is a lifeline, especially with rising global instability. Reviving Keystone XL could secure that supply, but at what cost? Critics argue it would increase fossil fuel reliance and worsen climate change, while Trump's mixed messages only add to the chaos. For now, the drama's far from over. Is Trump's wild ride a calculated power play to look tough, or a sign he knows America can't cut Canada loose? Let's take a look at just how vital this pipeline is. The Keystone XL pipeline is a massive project that's been debated, killed, revived, and killed again. This roller coaster of a saga began way back in 2008 when TC Energy, a Canadian company, dreamed up a plan to build a 1,200-mile pipeline. The goal was to pump a staggering 830,000 barrels of thick terry oil from Alberta, Canada, all the way down to refineries in the U.S. Gulf Coast every single day. Sounds simple, but it is a lot more difficult than it seems. This pipeline has turned into one of the most divisive energy battles between the U.S. and Canada in recent history, and now it's threatening to roar back to life. In 2015, President Barack Obama slammed the brakes on the project, saying it would worsen climate change and wasn't worth the risk. Fast forward to 2017, and President Donald Trump flipped the script, giving it the green light with a big smile, promising jobs and energy independence. Then, in 2021, President Joe Biden took office and, on his very first day, signed an order to shut it down again. By June of that year, TC Energy threw in the towel, dismantling parts of the pipeline and walking away. Most thought that was the end of it. But here we are in 2025, and Trump's back in the spotlight, posting on Truth Social that Keystone XL could restart almost immediately under his watch if he gets the chance. If this works out, it could mean thousands of construction jobs and a stronger grip on America's energy supply. But hold on, things aren't so simple. TC Energy, now restructured as South Bow Corp, has made it clear. They're done with the drama. And here's a big question. Does the U.S. even need this pipeline anymore? According to the U.S. Energy Information Administration, American oil production hit an all-time high of 13.6 million barrels per day in 2024. That's a lot of homegrown oil, leaving some experts scratching their heads about why we'd need Canada's extra supply. Then there's the other side of the story, and it's a grim one. Critics are sounding the alarm, pointing to the pipeline's messy track record. Back in 2017, the existing Keystone pipeline, not even the XL version, sprang a leak in South Dakota, spilling a jaw-dropping 407,000 gallons of oil into the ground. Cleanup was a nightmare, and it left a lot of people worried about what could happen if Keystone XL ever got built. Environmental groups like the National Resources Defense Council are waving red flags too. They say tar sands oil, the sticky stuff Keystone XL would carry, creates 81% more planet-warming emissions than regular crude oil. That's a huge deal at a time when climate change is already causing wildfires, floods, and heat waves across the globe. For Trump and his team, this is about jobs and energy security. They see Keystone XL as a golden ticket to boost the economy and keep America strong. But for opponents, it's a disaster waiting to happen. More spills, more pollution, and a step backward from cleaner energy goals. With U.S. oil production already booming and TC Energy's spin-off showing no interest, the pipeline's comeback feels more like a risky sequel no one asked for. Will it actually happen? That's the million-dollar question. The main issue is how Trump has treated Canada since returning to office. We would recall that President Donald Trump unleashed a bold and controversial plan to slam a hefty 25% tariff on all imports from Canada and Mexico, with energy products facing a slightly lighter 10% tax. The new rules are to kick off in March, and they're already stirring up serious trouble. Trump's reasoning was blunt. They tax us, we tax them back. But the problem is, Trump is the one starting the tariff war. This isn't just talk. It's a serious escalation that could hurt everyday people on both sides of the border. The tariffs are hitting Canada and Mexico hard, two of the United States' biggest trading partners. Together, these countries account for billions of dollars in daily trade, with the U.S. Canada alone sends about 75% of its exports, everything from oil to cars, to its southern neighbor, according to Statistics Canada. Mexico, meanwhile, relies on the U.S. for nearly 80% of its exports, according to the Atlantic Council. Trump's move threatens to disrupt this flow, potentially driving up prices for things like gas, groceries, and cars for American consumers. Canada wasted no time firing back. Prime Minister Justin Trudeau's government hit the U.S. with its own tariffs, targeting $30 billion worth of American goods like beef, bourbon, and washing machines. That's just the start. Phase 2 could slap another $125 billion on products like corn and auto parts by March 25th if talks don't cool things down. In Ontario, liquor stores are even pulling Jack Daniel's whiskey off the shelves in protest. The Canadian Chamber of Commerce is sounding the alarm, warning that this back and forth could spark a full-blown trade war, threatening the $2.7 billion in daily trade between the U.S. and Canada. Higher prices and job losses could soon follow, experts say. Adding fuel to the fire, Trump dropped a wild idea on his Truth Social platform stating that Canada should ditch its independence and become America's 51st state. He argued that without the U.S., Canada is toast, urging them to join for no tariffs, lower taxes, and top-tier military protection. It's a jaw-dropping suggestion that's got Canadians up in arms. Trudeau shot it down fast, saying, "Not a chance," while Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre also said Canada's not available to be annexed. Protests erupted nationwide, with people waving Canada's not-for-sale signs from Toronto to Vancouver. Why's Trump so fixated on Canada? It has got to do with the fact that Canada has the world's third-largest oil reserves, 170 billion barrels per Natural Resources Canada, plus rare minerals like lithium, key for electric car batteries. Experts see this as a power play. Trump might be using tariffs to force Canada into a corner, either for a sweeter trade deal or to tap those resources. But Canadians aren't buying it. This isn't the 1800s. No one's annexing anyone. The stakes are high. The US, Canada, and Mexico have been tied together by trade deals like NAFTA and its successor, the USMCA, for decades. These tariffs could unravel years of cooperation, hitting businesses and families hard. In the US, analysts warn of rising costs for everything from Canadian lumber to Mexican avocados. North of the border, the Canadian dollar's already wobbly, and companies fear losing their biggest market. For now, it's a tense standoff. Trump's betting his tough guy tactics will force Canada and Mexico to bend. But if history's any guide, like the 2018 steel tariffs that jacked up US appliance prices, this could backfire, leaving everyone worse off. As negotiations loom, the question is, will cooler heads prevail, or are we headed for an economic slugfest? One thing's clear: this tariff war would hurt everyone. This takes us back to the strained relationship the US is currently having with allies. As Donald Trump's second term unfolds, the United States finds itself at odds with some of its oldest allies, raising serious questions about the future of these partnerships. From Canada to Europe, Trump's tough talk and tariff threats are straining ties that have held strong for decades. Analysts warn this could push allies away, potentially reshaping global alliances and leaving the US more isolated. But just how far can this go? And what does it mean for America's energy independence, especially without Canada? Trump's approach has been anything but gentle. Across the Atlantic, European nations face similar pressure, with Trump hinting at 25% tariffs and criticizing NATO allies for not spending enough on defense. These moves aren't new. Trump's first term saw him pull out of the Paris climate deal and clash with allies over trade. But this time, the tone feels sharper. In Europe, leaders like Germany and France warn against border violations, while Denmark bristles at Trump's renewed interest in buying Greenland. Frustration is turning to action. Some allies are exploring closer ties with China or Russia to hedge against US unpredictability. Could this be a major break? Maybe not a full split, but it's a serious rift. If Trump keeps alienating allies, they may not just drift, they could realign. China is already courting Colombia, and Russia is watching closely. For now, allies hesitate to burn bridges, but the strain is real. If Trump doubles down, US influence could weaken. As for oil dependence on Canada, the US has a problem. Midwest and Gulf Coast refineries are built for Canada's heavy crude, and switching to lighter US shale or imports from Saudi Arabia isn't simple. Retooling costs billions and could take years, pushing gas prices up by $1 per gallon or more. Shale production is peaking, with top drilling spots drying up. Even with Trump's deregulation, like opening Alaska's Arctic refuge, new production won't ramp up fast. It's a long game with big costs and environmental pushback. Without Canadian oil, the US could lean on domestic supply, but not in the short term. Tariffs would disrupt supply chains, and consumers would feel the pain at the pump. If you found this breakdown insightful, smash that like button and subscribe for more straight-to-the-point analysis. Thanks for watching. See you in the next one.